Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of She's Busy Podcast. I'm Katie,
And I'm Brooke.
and today Brooke is going to be asking me about how I got hired at Dick's Sporting Goods and what my experience is like working there.
So, Katie, why did you want to start working at Dick's Sporting Goods in the first place?
So I knew I wanted a summer job for my summer before senior year, and I didn't exactly know where, but I had a vision to myself. Like during the school year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna work at Dick's Sporting Goods over the summer, and I told my friends that, and they were like, why is your heart set on this? And I was just like it just is.
It just came to you?
Yeah. So I remember I think around March, I walked into my local Dick's Sporting Goods, and I just asked a random employee like, oh, are you hiring? Like how do you get hired here? Because I didn't know. And the employee was instantly like, you do not want to work here. The manager is so mean. Like, everyone quits after their first paycheck. That's what I was told. But then I was like to myself, that sounds like a challenge.
You're up for the challenge?
Yeah. And I had always read online that you needed to be 18 to work there, and my birthday wasn't until May. So I was like, oh, I'll just like apply once like my birthday came around. So my birthday came around, and I applied online, like literally while I was sitting on a bus, like before my Wi-Fi went out. And I didn't hear anything like instantly after I applied online because like stores don't typically check that. So I went a little bit of a different route, and a store that did reply to me was Hollister, and they actually set up an interview. So I went in for a Hollister interview. Like I think that went pretty well. But then after that, I was like, but my heart is still
Set on Dick's?
It's still set on working at Dick's Sporting Goods. Like I saw the vision there. So after my Hollister interview, I went into Dick's Sporting Goods, and I was trying to find like someone to go up to. I didn't like know who the manager was. So I was just trying to go up to this random person I saw, but then she was wearing headphones and just like left. So then I was like, oh no, I can't go up to her. So then I saw this other lady, and then I went up to her, and I was like, hi, I applied online. Like, are you guys currently hiring? And then she was just like, wait 1 second. And then she pulled out her walkie-talkie, and she was like trying to prevent a shoplifter in an aisle.
Oh
So
my God.
I was like, I felt bad. I was like, okay, this is probably a bad time. But then she just goes, wait right here. So I wait right there. And the lady that I asked, she walks over to the real manager. And then I don't really know what they were saying, but I was just like I was just standing there, and I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of like looking around. And then so she's over there with the manager, and she points at me. The manager points at me. They're like, her? And then I was just kind of sitting there smiling. I was like, and then after like a minute of them talking, they're like, come over here. So I was just like, hi, I'm Katie. And then like I kind of forget what she asked me. They didn't even ask me like if I had work experience or anything.
They just liked how you looked
They
and
didn't.
thought you were a good person?
Well, I remember I told like I gave like one sentence like, oh, I like volunteered at this clothing center before. Maybe like they asked me briefly like if I knew anything about sports, or I might have just started randomly saying like, oh, I play volleyball and softball in high school, so I know a lot about sports. Like, not that that's necessarily like the whole job at all, but I just like brought that up, and she was just kind of like, oh, goody, like. And then she goes like, I really like your smile. And I'm like, yay, that's it's a positive thing. And then so she pulls out her little device. She's like, what's your name? And I just like say my name. She pulls up the application, and then she's like, what position did you apply for? And I did not know if I like applied to a specific position. I just thought like retail sales associate. I thought there was like one general position, but then it seemed like I applied for apparel on accident or on purpose. I don't know. And then she was like, okay, so let's set you up for an interview. And then she goes, wait, actually, no, I've already talked to you. You're hired. When do you want to start? And then I'm like, I can start whenever. And then she's like, how about Monday? You start Monday. Like, okay. So there you have it. That's how I got hired at Dick's Sporting Goods.
It's a very interesting way to get hired.
That's what I thought too, but it kind of completed my vision because I had that weird vision where I was like, I'm going to work at Dick's Sporting Goods. And it
It came
came true.
true.
It really did.
So, what exactly is your role that you have at Dick's Sporting Goods?
So, like I was saying, originally I applied for apparel. I guess I didn't realize I did. So, the first day of work, actually, without having any training, because they never gave me training because the whole store was really chaotic at the time I joined, they just put me on the cashier, like 5 minutes into me being there. And I was like, I didn't really like tell them I never worked a cashier. Like, I don't know if they assumed. They didn't ask me. They just put me at the cashier
Oh no.
and they had me start ringing people up. So, I mean, it's not that difficult. So, I learned it pretty fast. And so, I was on cashier and people would ask me questions and I wouldn't really know the answers. So, it was really stressful then. So, that was my first day. I was on cashier. And then my second day, they were like, oh, we hired you for apparel. So, they put me in apparel. But the thing is, they didn't give me my green shirt yet. So I was just like, they didn't give me a uniform until day 3. So I was just walking around the store and without a green shirt, and then people were like, "Do you work here?" And I'm like, I mean, I do for like 2 days. I have for like 2 days. So they didn't give me much direction. I just was folding things and putting things back, and they taught me methods of how to put shorts on hangers. So I was just going around trying to find the right sections, and I was doing that. But then ultimately, I think I became a cashier. I don't really know how, but then so I had another day in apparel, and then ever since then, I've been on the cashier like every single day. So I don't really know why they chose that, but I do like the cashier because time goes by really fast and it's like relatively easy. It's just like it's set in motion what you have to do. So I like the cashier and that's where I've been.
So, you mentioned that you didn't really get any training at the
Oh
cashier.
yeah, I did not.
So, how long did it take you to actually figure out how to work the cashier?
So when I was put at cashier, the first thing I did was I looked at what the people next to me were doing because I was like, oh,
Hmm.
they probably have experience. But then actually the girl that was one of the girls that was next to me, she was like, oh no, this is my second day. Like, but I was like, okay, like it's probably relatively easy to figure out. So I was looking at what other people were doing, and of course, like first you just scan the item and you click some button, blah blah blah. But then I learned like you have to ask the people for their phone number for the loyalty account, and there are like a few other questions that you have to ask, and like sometimes you want to try to get people to sign up for credit cards, and you like give random sales pitches like that. But the typical like scanning thing, I figured out pretty fast. But then there's a whole nother thing for returns, but it's not that hard because the machine it says like return on it, and then you just click it, and then you just have to know like how we take returns, like because we don't just do receipts, we do like through phone numbers or credit cards. So you just have to know like little details like that.
Yeah,
But then other than that, I'd say it was relatively easy to figure out, and I think I got it down pretty well.
that's good. So, like, since you've been at Dick's for a few months now or so,
Yeah.
so how has everything been?
Well, I like it. I like the job. I like working the cashier. I love it. But the overall environment can sometimes be chaotic, but it's definitely gotten more organized as I've been there because my first week of work, right? So I told you about my hiring process. It was a little strange, but it worked. And then about 3 4 days into my job, the manager got fired. So everything was out of line because my schedule was like my schedule existed, but I didn't have access to it.
Oh
So
no.
I would have to ask day to day for my schedule, and I still do not have access to my schedule, like because the account when it was being set up for me, like there was a tech issue and it never got resolved. So I still like don't have access to my own schedule. I have to get screenshots from other people, so that is annoying, but then other than that, I really like the job. I feel like I've learned a lot about customer service and about different products and what's popular. So I really like the job.
That's good. So, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to get a job at Dick's Sporting Goods?
Okay. Well, definitely the route of hiring that I went down, you're not going to get that. That's like such a random thing to happen. You just walk in and they're like, "You're hired." Like that sounds straight out of a movie. I mean, I love that that happened to me, but that just doesn't happen. Who knows though? So what I've seen for other people that got hired after me, so of course you fill out the online application, then you call the store or you go into the store and you're like you talk to them, but then they're not going to hire you on the spot. They're going to either ghost you or they'll set up an interview with you, and then so you'll interview with the manager, and after that you'll probably if they liked you after the first interview, you'll get a second interview, and then the second interview is like kind of the final straw, like if they'll hire you or not. So if that goes well, then they'll send you an offer letter, and then I don't know, I think as soon as possible they'll have you start working and hopefully give you real training. Hopefully.
Unlike you.
Yeah, someday I'll get training.
So, do you get any sort of employee discount now that you work at Dick's?
Oh yeah, so it's a 25% off employee discount. So it's not super high, but I think for a store like Dick's Sporting Goods, it's a good discount because they have a lot of expensive things, like, for example, shoes. So I think it's a really helpful discount to have.
So, Dick's is an athletic store. So, for the dress code, is it more like laid back type of stuff or is it like more fancy?
Okay, I'll explain. They never officially like told me, but I read a little section on the like one email I was sent. So it said that obviously you can't wear shorts, but I was kind of, well, I wasn't shocked, but I was a little disappointed because it was the summer, but I was like, okay, like that makes sense. And it said you could wear jeans if they're not ripped in any way, shape, or form, and then leggings and like any like sweat leggings or sweats or like track pants type things if they were like black or gray. Only black or gray though. So I typically just wear black leggings that have pockets in them because also you want like to put your little walkie talkie in your pocket. So I think pockets are really helpful to have. So I've just been wearing black leggings and then the green Dick's Sporting Goods shirt. They gave me two green shirts. So I just like rotate through those.
So, what's your favorite part about working at Dick's?
My favorite part is definitely the little surprises I get on a daily basis. Like whether it's someone is a customer that I like that I know or I haven't seen in a long time, I'm like so surprised and I'm like that's so cool. Like I haven't seen them in years. So I like that. I like those little interactions. Or also people will ask me like really specific questions that I think are funny, and I love the stories that come out of that. And yeah, when customers are nice, I love talking to them. And if they have special requests like where to find a pair of Crocs, I'm always like I'm your girl, like I will help you. So I love the little things like that.
And what's something you don't like about working at Dick's?
Oh, let me think. It's really hard to sell protection plans, and I don't blame the customers, but we have different goals, and sometimes it can be really hard to meet the goals, like because no one really wants a protection plan. You get like two a day, and we have a goal that we want like a certain percentage, so it's difficult to meet like all the different goals we have. But I like working towards them. It's just sometimes it can be frustrating, like customers like don't want to sign up for a loyalty account or like don't want to use any of the added benefits because we actually get better like statistics from that, but like I don't blame them for not caring. It's just it can slightly annoy the employees.
Yeah. So, what do you think your biggest takeaway is from working at Dick's?
My biggest takeaway is definitely better communication skills. Like I've learned how it's so important to be able to communicate clearly with people and to be able to get the point across really fast, because otherwise customers are confused, like sign up for a loyalty account, like what does that mean? Like you need to be able to articulate what things are like really fast so customers don't get annoyed. And then also like if someone asks you a question and like obviously you don't know the answer because it's about a different department, like you need to be able to like communicate really clearly with other departments to coordinate everything. So my biggest takeaway is definitely communication with everyone.
Nice. So, Katie, any final words?
Yes, I say if you want to do something, put your mind to it and you will accomplish it. For example, I wanted to work at Dick's Sporting Goods and, I made it. So,
Follow your heart.
yeah, I say follow your heart. If you have a random goal, even if it seems stupid to people, like just go for it. So, I think that's all I have today. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This was another episode of She's Busy Podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Brooke.
See you guys next time.